is the future of media agencies? That's the question posed to our panel and facilitated by Mark Rappin. He's VP of Strategic Partnership at Currnt. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, how you doing, Gene?
I'm doing well. So this theme number one, can media agencies take on more ownership of becoming a brand's lead strategic partner? What are you going to talk about here today?
Yeah, well, as background, we all know sort of the old school days of a brand with one agency AOR partner. I mean, that's not current practice. Short of that, how do media agencies within this mix of all the different partners that a client has, how do they get a more prominent seat at the table? And clients today have 6 to 7 media agency partners, plus they're bringing more and more of these resources in-house. And so agencies are competing with in-house people as well.
So you had a great panel to have this discussion with. Tell us about the panel.
Yeah, we had a great group of people, former CEO of a creative agency, programmatic and digital media specialists, someone that was on the client side with a brand strategy and insight leader. We had lots of people that were involved in omni-channel or integrated partnerships. And so it was really a diverse group across the constituencies in the industry and a lot of expertise.
So let's get into your executive summary here. I guess the bottom line is AOR is dead, right?
Yeah, no question about it. So I think media agencies can take on more ownership of becoming the brand's lead strategic partner, but not by trying to take on the mantle of being an AOR, agency of record. The other thing that we talked about with the panel is agencies have to build flexibility because the only constant in today's world is change, and that it's changing way too fast for any one person to be or any one partner to be all things to the entire brand. The other thing is that point number 3 is that agencies have to look outside in and stop looking at their own belly buttons. The CMO is really the person on the hot seat. They're under tremendous pressure, both internally to keep their influence within the C-suite and to take on new responsibilities. And lastly, media agencies need to behave more like investment planners than real estate agents. And we'll talk a little bit about that and Sir Martin's word, horizontality, and how we can make that work.
That sounds like a great conversation. Let's go ahead and get into key point number 1. Again, not to beat a dead horse, but AOR is dead.
Yes. As we mentioned in the opening, I mean, most brands have 6 to 7 different agencies, and they have different kind of specialties. And so all of these partners kind of make up the ecosystem. And so it's about demonstrating, for the media agency, it's about demonstrating the strategic understanding of the brand's current relevance in today's marketplace and sort of the competitive milieu. But what media agencies have that's unique is a combination of data, understanding the message environment, and creative. And so what they have to do is to bring that unique combination of skills to bring new strategic insights to keep the brand strategically relevant, not just for today, but where tomorrow's going.
So let's get into key point number 2, which is, I guess, change. It's a mantra that we have for basically everything we do. It doesn't matter what department you look at, but how is it important in this conversation?
Yeah, it's important in this conversation because I think to a large degree, the big agencies, both the big media agencies and the big creative agencies, are still longing for those AOR days. And so they have diverse skills and diverse things that they can contribute, and they're still trying to convince the brand that they could be all things that the brand needs. But the reality is that you can't really do that today.
So if you're CMO, all of a sudden you're managing kind of a bunch of different thought leaders here. Does that kind of put you on the hot seat a little bit here, which is what you're talking about?
Very much so. I mean, this is the person that's really kind of taking all the heat. And so agencies were busy not getting too close to the CMO because they were getting ready for a changing leadership and always staying current with the new leadership. And so media agencies could really help themselves by getting on board with the CMO and letting the CMO know that they are his or her guy. The other thing to consider in all this change is the CMO is adapting too. The CMO probably came up in an AOR world. And so this world of multi-agency partners is new to the CMO too.
Very curious about your key point number 4 here. It's so interesting. Be more like investment planners. What does this mean?
Well, if you think about it, what we're talking about is an investment planner is really taking a portfolio of stocks and not really committing to just one stock and one thing. And they're trying to balance and become, give you the right mix of things in your portfolio so that your whole portfolio moves forward. That's opposed to what most agencies are still doing today, which is selling like a real estate agent a fixed set of capabilities and deliverables. And so what we're trying to say is understand that you're part of the portfolio and don't be so locked into any one point, and understand that you're going to be working with agencies that have varied competencies, and you really, really have to have a true partnership mentality.
What a great conversation you guys had. This is so interesting. Tell us about the 3 experts that really stood out for you on this panel.
Yeah, I mean, again, everyone contributed, and we had a terrific group of experts, but these 3 panelists stood out. Lynn really not only contributed her own thinking and her own key points, but really rolled up her sleeves and commented and add value to what everyone else was doing. Christine, coming from that omnichannel perspective, really had some good points on how this all worked together. And John, as a marketing consultant, you get to kind of take a little bit of a step back and sort of have the bigger picture view. And John added that bigger picture perspective to the team.
So this was a really fascinating conversation. Where did it lead to? What's coming up in theme number 2?
Yeah, well, in theme number 2, as we looked at it, how do you get the best talent? Now we're not just competing for strategic relevance, but we're competing for having the best people on our team. And so for theme number 2, we're going to be talking about what a media agency could do to attract the best talent, particularly in a marketplace where it's not just other agencies, but they're competing with other tech companies. They're competing with the FANG folks, Google and Facebook and Amazon and Alphabet, that have much sexier profiles. So we'll talk a little bit about what a media agency could do to compete for talent.
I really look forward to that. You did a great job walking us through this knowledge stream here, Mark. Thank you so much for spending your time with us.
Thank you. Thanks for pulling this all together.
Yeah, it's Mark Rappin. He is VP Strategic Partnerships at Currnt. And Mark, we will talk again.
Sounds good.